bike world is a strange place. Brand names serve as a stamp of quality, desirability, status, and what the brand is all about. Nike is the goddess of victory. Amazon has anything that you can buy from A to Z, and Google gives you the world's Google websites at your fingertips. Google meaning 10 with 100 zeros after it. And I say that the bike world is strange because the more that a bike brand just sounds like some dude's name, the more high quality and the more desirable it is. So today I went down the street over to Phil Wood's house to chat over some coffee. Then we had lunch with Steve, Rex, and Paul. You know Paul. And he introduced us to his friend visiting from Japan, Nagasawa. You know, Japanese formality and all, last name basis. And you are not going to believe who we ran into next. It was Bob. Yeah, your dad's old friend Bob Jackson. Ishmael got in on that so boutique, it sounds pedestrian fixie point phenomenon with his English-made Bob Jackson Vigorelli. Now let's take a closer look at what makes this bike that sounds like it was made in a garage 4 houses down the street, or should I say garage, so legendary in this fixed gear bike check. Speaking of bikes you should check out, this portion of the video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. Wabi and I started a new video series called 3 Minute Thursday where we teach you some quick tips about cycling in 180 seconds or less. Check out the first episode on how you can finally fulfill your 12-year-old dreams and learn how to ride your bike no-handed, or how you can open up the next level of cycling enjoyment by learning to be self-sufficient and fix your own damn flats by clicking the card above after you're done watching this video, of course. In the simpler time of 1935, the bicycle manufacturing company Bob Jackson was founded by the eponymous John Robert Jackson in Leeds, England. Bob Jackson and Company handcrafted museum display-ready steel frame sets, the same tried and true way for an entire generation after being founded in 1935, building a reputation as immaculate as their bikes in the small but very, very expensive boutique bike world. Suddenly, after 85 years of doing business the traditional way, Bob Jackson, the company, not the guy died in 1999, just couldn't keep up with the changing times when in 2020 they announced that they would officially be closing their doors for good. Sadly, as it turns out, it's kind of really hard to find young people that want to become master bikes craftsmen in Leeds, England. And when Bob Jackson's small team intended on retiring, that would be it for the company. But psych! Announcing that they were closing forever was just a ploy to make all the cycling publications sad, to give them enough publicity and make everyone else sad that this legendary bike manufacturer was closing forever after an entire generation of doing business and making bikes the good old-fashioned way. It made people, and investors most importantly, so sad and so nostalgic that everyone threw so much money at the company Bob Jackson that a few weeks later, after announcing that they were closing their door, they announced, "Oh, well everyone, it looks like we have enough money to keep running the shop for another 85 years. Which, ironically, is still a shorter amount of time than the bikes that they make will last. Now, the rest of us can continue to not buy a Bob Jackson because having 2 kidneys is better than having 1 kidney and a Bob Jackson. But we can still appreciate them when someone else has one. To make a bike as great as Britain, you have to start off with great materials. This royal blue, gosh, even the color is British. Bob Jackson Vigorelli is built with British-made, air-hardened Reynolds 631, making the bike light and lively while maintaining its reliability and robustness, as a bunch of steel tubes braced together should be. It's called the Vigorelli because even if you're an English bike company, using the Italian terminology makes it sound fancier. The tubing is joined with lugs that are dressy enough for Sunday tea time with your mum, but austere enough as to not look out of place at the corner pub after tea time with your mom. What really sells the lug work is this subtle, white detailing making the joints on this bike pop without calling too much attention to itself. It's just so classy in a refined way that looking at it makes you wish your name was Oliver. And like any self-respecting track bike, the bridge is left undrilled to delicately suggest that this bike wasn't made for mere commoners, but for true fixed gear enthusiasts. And to bring this refined old world masterpiece into the present day, nothing says subtlety and class like a bunch of overpriced hypebeast clothing brand stickers slapped onto the fork. At least there's a Faith Gear sticker, so that's cool. Onto the build, Ishmael writes, "It might be blasphemous to mix West European and East Asian components on this build, but my goal is to make it a reliable, street-ready, neo-retro build with zero loose ball bearing components." You know, whoever says that you shouldn't put Dura-Aces on a European frame because it's somehow not pure enough is probably an elitist in more ways than one. We live in a globalized world, and that's a good thing because without globalization, we wouldn't have an Asian with a Spanish last name that looks vaguely Hispanic to nerd out about Japanese and European track bikes with you in his native English language. So build your bike however you damn please, and whoever says otherwise really needs to get over themselves. Starting with the headset, I slapped on an Enzo sealed bearing 1-inch threaded headset. It does the job and comes with a spicy silver polished finish. The cockpit, I've always liked the look of a quill stem, especially how fitting it is on a 1-inch lugged track bike. But I've always wanted to put an oversized 440mm Ritchey EvoCurve handlebar for its comfortable slight back sweep and flare. I stumbled upon this nice lug stem from Tange. Single bolts clamp, lugged, and it's negative 17 degrees to keep it parallel with the top tube. Exactly what I'm looking for to complement the beautiful lugs on my frame. You gotta be a pretty big baller to have a lugged stem. Because it's an oversized threadless stem, a simple short stem adapter helps to slam and tie the cockpit together. My saddle is the tried and true Supercorsas perched on top of Tange T-3350 AL Seat post with some generous setback, bringing my saddle further back, supporting my fit for drop bars. The wheels are custom built DT Swiss RR521 disc brake rims, laced to Suzue Pro Max in the front, and a sealed Novatec on the rear. Wrapped in extra skitty faux gummies, Deli Tire BRN Freccia in 25Cs. I chose the rim because of the dimensions. The DT Swiss RR521s come with a hefty 24mm outer rim width and 20mm inner rim width, making 25C clincher tires ride like tubulars and even plushier. They're not light at around 1 kilo for a pair, but because they're aimed at gravel riders, I get the bonus of their 32mm rim depth, which means they stay true for longer. I'm too lazy to clean and re-grease my bottom bracket every time it rains, so my drivetrain starts with a Cartridge bearing Campagnolo Veloce bottom bracket. The crank is a combo of NJS stamped Dura-Ace 7600 arms with a black Sugino Zen chainring and 48 tooth. The cog is the ultra tough Tange stainless steel cog secured with an all-city steel lock ring, linked together with an Izumi jet black chain. This build has been serving me well, mashing around town, day and night, wet and dry. And I hope that it will serve your children, and your children's children, and your children's children's children, day and night, wet and dry. Such a beauty that it would be a shame for it to ever see retirement, even if the company that makes it plans on retiring in the next 85 years. If you want to have your fixed gear featured in this bike check series, check out the instructions in the description. And fixie famous shoutouts to Ryan Witt, Robbie Andaya, David K, Ellie Lovelace, Justin Javier, Kelvin Ho, Julian Corona, the Fixed Federation, OC Bike Crew, Stan Strong 108, Brandon Black, and Zane Kolnick for helping to make these fixed gear videos possible through the support on Patreon. And remember that life is short, but don't make it shorter, so ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.